Well, hello and welcome to my festive kitchen table. It's the week before Christmas, isn't it? And were we expecting news this week? I don't know if we were, but we've heard some very interesting news indeed this morning. News that the maestro, that Sebastien Loeb, will rejoin the World Rally Championship, albeit on a part-time basis in 2018. Do you know what? I think we all knew that something was going to happen. We've heard various different reports about how many rounds he might do, from 1 round to 7 or 8 rounds to maybe even the whole season. The whole season clearly seemed very, very unlikely, particularly with the confirmation that Loeb will do the whole of the World Rallycross Championship for Peugeot next year. But we're going to have him for 3 rounds. Now, 3 rounds is better than none as far as I'm concerned, because I think that having Loeb back in the championship will just add something very interesting, an extra dimension, if you like, to those 3 rounds. You know, when we looked at it logically, Mexico was always going to be the first round for Loeb if he was going to make a return. You can write off Monte Carlo. It's never going to happen for 2 reasons. One is proximity to Monte Carlo. Obviously, it's close to Monte Carlo. It's proximity to the Dakar. Yes, it's possible to do the Dakar and Monte, but you know, logistically it's possible, physically, mentally, almost impossible, I'd have said. So we can write that one off. The other reason why he probably wouldn't do the Monte is that, you know, you got to think about road position. He is on the road. Remember when he came back in 2015 and did the Monte Carlo rally? It was just the most incredible battle between him and Ogier. But he was very much hampered by his road position. No question about that. He had to take risks, he had to take gambles, and on stage 9, day 2, it was a gamble too far trying to catch Sebastien Ogier. But it was a glorious performance from Loeb. But Dakar, road position, he wasn't going to do Monte. I'm sure Citroen would have loved him to do it, but he was never going to do that. Sweden's a rally he has never, ever, ever particularly enjoyed. So let's write Sweden off. Again, road position can have a big influence on the outcome in Sweden. All right, sometimes it's better to be further down the order in Sweden. Not very often, to be totally honest with you. So it was never going to happen in Sweden. Mexico was always, I think, on the cards as the glorious return for the maestro. He's won that, what, 6 times? I think it's 6 times he's won Mexico in the past. It's a rally he knows. It's a rally Citroen know. It's a rally Citroen know they can win, clearly with Meek having won it last year. Road position, critical, particularly on the opening day. Having missed the first 2 events, all of his main contenders, you would imagine, will be ahead of him on the road, will be cleaning the road for him, will be losing time, particularly on day 1, obviously. And I suspect that Loeb can win in Mexico. Now, a lot of you will jump up and down and say it's impossible, he can't. 2012 was the last time he did a full season. Well, here's what I would say to that. If we can get a rookie coming in and winning on his 4th outing in these new cars, another rookie challenging for a podium place on his 3rd outing in these new cars, are you telling me seriously that a man who has won 9 championships, that has won 7 to 8 rallies, can't get into this machinery and with a little bit of testing be competitive? I have no question, no doubt in my mind that Loeb will be competitive, and for me, the favourite to win Rally Mexico. That depends on a couple of things, mind you, one of which is the form of his teammate Chris Meek, because Chris Meek is capable of winning any rally. Chris Meek might be his biggest rival when we get to Mexico. B, other than Meek, I think is the form of the car. Now, we do have optimism ahead of 2018 for the Citroen. It did have a very torrid year in 2017, and they struggled like mad to get that car right. It does look as if the car is good now. We know it's quick. We saw how quick it was, particularly on the tarmac. We saw how quick it was in Mexico last year. It needs reliability and it needs speed. If it brings both of those things to the party in Mexico, Citroen could be on for a 1-2. Who knows? But for sure, Loeb can win that one. He'll then go to Corsica. Can he win in Corsica? Well, I think that's going to be a little more difficult, because I think Chris Meek might well be the man to beat there again once we get to Corsica. Don't forget, Rally Corsica is a very different event from the one that Loeb went to, and when was it, 2007, 2008, and won every single stage. Remember when Loeb last did Corsica? it was more or less based in Ajaccio and to the south and to the west, sorry, to the east of Ajaccio. Some of the stages just to the north of Ajaccio. There are maybe 1 or 2 stages that Loeb will know this year, but he won't know the stages on Rally Corsica as well as, say, Chris Meek knows, Thierry Neuville knows them. Yeah, Matti Latvala knows those stages. All of his main rivals will know Corsica exceptionally well. That may be the difference between Loeb and his rivals in Corsica. I think the car will be up to it. We saw that last year. Then we go to Spain. Can he win in Spain? Well, of course he can. He was the master of Rally Catalunya for many, many years, wasn't he? And once again, the road position plays into his hands. Gravel on day one, he will start potentially as the last of our World Rally cars, the best place to start on the road in Spain, build a lead. And what we know about Spain is once you get onto the tarmac is so fast, it's so flowing, it is very, very difficult to get time back. So, you know, I think it's a very clever choice from Sebastien Loeb. 3 rallies he can win, 2 of which he can definitely win, a third if things go his way, Corsica, which he's got a chance of winning. From Citroen's point of view, that is good news. Because what do we have to say? What else do we have to say about this announcement from Citroen today? Well, we have to say with a degree of disappointment that they're clearly not going to be challengers for the manufacturer's title, which goes against everything that we've seen in the past for Citroen. Citroen have been more focused on winning manufacturer titles in the past than they have been on winning drivers' titles. Sebastien Loeb will tell you in 2003 he was told, battling Peter Solberg on Rally GB, he was told to bring the car home, wasn't he? To secure the manufacturers, not to fight for the driver's title. And that's been the story, really, all through Citroen's participation in the WRC. They've been a company, they've been a manufacturer that has value, that's got more marketing value out of manufacturer titles than driver titles. Now, can they fight for a driver's title this year? Yes, they can. If we see a slightly different Chris Meek this year, which I think we will, I think we'll see again a more composed Chris Meek, a more mature Chris Meek, perhaps a more selective Chris Meek. He will want to win every rally, and he is capable of winning every rally. So yes, they have a driver very, very capable of winning the driver's title, but they can't win the manufacturers because what they've told us today is that it's a 2-car team effectively, occasionally bolstered by a 3rd car from Sheikh Khaled Al Qasimi. The disappointment in the Loeb announcement is that Craig Breen won't be doing a full season because Sebastien Loeb will be taking Craig Breen's car effectively. Do you know, is that disappointing or not? I think it's great news that Breen's got 10 rounds. I think Breen's got many, many years in front of him. And given the choice, personally, people are not going to like me for this, but given the choice, Breen doing the full season or Breen giving his car to Loeb for 3 events, which is what we're getting, I would say that Breen's got a lot in front of him. You might also argue that I suppose Sebastien Loeb has had his day, but I think seeing Loeb back in the championship is worth the sacrifice that Breen has to make to accommodate Sebastien Loeb in that team. Clearly, we'd much prefer 3 cars, and we'd much prefer to see Meek, Loeb, and Breen in the team. That would be fantastically exciting, but we're not going to see that. So the sacrifice is that Craig Breen gets 10 rounds. The bigger sacrifice, I suppose, is that the Ferb is demoted back to the R5 car. Not a bad thing, not a bad thing at all. And the drivers who will give testament to that are quite clearly like Tanak, who had to slip back into an R5 car for a season or 2, and Elvin Evans. And look how well they've bounced back from that experience. So Lefebvre has got potential, he has got talent, and we saw that on a number of occasions last year, not least in Rally Poland, where he was blindingly fast and brave and really consistent in his driving. But he will spearhead Citroen's assault on WRC2 in that R5 C3 next year, and that's going to be a hell of a competitive championship. It really is. We have some fabulous drivers, more or less a Skoda factory team, a Citroen factory team, some great drivers in the Fiestas as well. My goodness me. And on top of that, we will see the VW R5 hopefully making a competitive debut sometime around Rally Germany. Hopefully it'll be Rally Germany, maybe just after Rally Germany we'll see that car making its competitive debut. But back to Citroen. It's good news today. and it's bad news. It's difficult to work out, isn't it? Difficult to work out. We're pleased to see the Maestro back. A little disappointed that there's not 3 cars. A little disappointed that Breen has to give up his seat. But for me, it is always good to mix things up a little bit, and we're mixing it up again next year with Sebastien Loeb coming back. Now, in terms of other news, what else is there to talk about? There was something else that someone pointed out to me. As you know, I don't make notes for these kitchen tables, I just talk off the top of my head. The third car. Oh, by the way, going back to Citroen, let's just go back to Citroen just for a second. I've talked about a 2-car team and that they might not win the manufacturers. That is discounting the PH Sport car. I don't know, could that car be nominated for manufacturer points? I suspect it could, couldn't it? We'll have to get that confirmed. But there's a potential that they could find a very solid, a very dependable driver there in that PH Sport car for a number of rounds next year who could contribute to the manufacturer points for Citroen. I'm not sure, we'll get that confirmed, shall we? Oh, now, the other thing I wanted and I haven't got to you, during my little break, tell you what, you're going to have to just take a little break for a second while I go and find something for you. Stand by, back in a mo. Right, back with you. As you can see, what I should have got before I came and sat down at my kitchen table, this wonderful Rallying 2017. It really is a record of what has been the most fabulous season in the WRC. It's a pictorial and it's got some really a nice little story, some really well written words in there as well. Clearly it's a McLean book, Colin McMaster and his team producing the most incredible shots to fill the book with, but words as well by Anthony Peacock, and let me see, who else have we got here? Anthony Peacock, Reinhard Klein and Colin McMaster. So yeah, listen, this is well worth investing in. It's one of these collector's items. It's a coffee table, really history piece of 2017, and you know, a season that will be remembered for a long time, that we talked about for a long time in the WRC. Now, if you want to get hold of one of these, and as I say, they're well worth getting. Look at that, look how big and thick and meaty and juicy that is. It'll keep you entertained for hours on end. Details are below, running along the bottom. That is where you can go to that website to get this wonderful history of what has been the most incredible season for rallying in 2017. I'll just put that there. While we go on and talk about, I'll put it there, shall I? You can't miss it then, can you? The other thing I want to talk about, M Sport. You know, we did have confirmation, wonderful confirmation of the fact that Ogier is staying next year. We're yet to hear the details, the exact details of Ford's involvement. We know that there is increased involvement from Ford. We're waiting to hear exactly how that might manifest itself. But the other thing we're waiting to hear about really is the third driver at M Sport. Now, it's a difficult one. You know, can we see a situation maybe where there might only be 2 M Sport cars in Monte Carlo? I think that is possible. I think that's a real possibility. But as I mentioned before, the opportunity for a young driver to learn from what is a championship winning team, from a 5-time world championship winning lead driver in Sebastien Ogier, I think that opportunity is one that a number of youngsters out there could well benefit from. In particular, Teemu Sunninen. I fully expect to see Sunninen there in Sweden. At least he might even be there for Monte Carlo. But Sunninen, I'm pretty certain, will do Rally Sweden, and I'm pretty certain he will do it in an M Sport car. And I keep my fingers crossed that we see Sunninen doing more than the 5 or 6 rounds that we were told last year he would do in a World Rally car. I think the opportunity, as I said, is just, it's too strong an opportunity to pass up. It's an opportunity that won't come along every year. To learn from working alongside Sebastien Ogier is just, it's worth its weight in gold, and I think Sunninen will take that seat. But what I was going to say is that we can't really write anything off. We may see a surprise in that third seat. We really might. Someone that comes up from the left field, if you like. That'll be the right field. The left field. Someone unexpected. I'm not writing that off, particularly if there's a bit more involvement and a bit more money, which we're expecting from Ford in this whole thing. Perhaps it might give Mr. Wilson the opportunity to do what he's done with Evans, and what he continues to do with Evans, to do what he's done clearly with Tanak, and bring on a young driver. I don't know. I'd like to see that happening. It's you know, there are no real names that spring to mind. Well, there is one name that springs to mind, but I'm going to keep that to myself right now. But there is one name for me that springs to mind that has the potential, with a bit of backing, but if his own money, a little bit of Mr. Wilson's money, the potential, I think he's shown the potential over the last couple of seasons to go on to the very highest level. Now, rumour, speculation, conjecture. I don't know. I don't know what will happen with that third seat. Odds on, not odds on, but the best bet is Sunonen doing a number of rounds. But as I say, don't write off the chance of a surprise announcement there from M Sport and from Mr. Wilson. So there we go. Not a lot else to discuss and to talk about and to cogitate over from the kitchen table. It has been a joy, I'd have to say, bringing you my thoughts and my views, occasionally some news from the kitchen table this year. We will continue next year, that is absolutely for sure. It's been a wonderful reaction that we've had to the kitchen table, you know, both on Facebook and through Twitter and through YouTube. More and more of you watching through YouTube, which is great. Listen, everyone, have a very safe and wonderful Christmas, and we will all now look forward, well, to Autosport, the Autosport International show in January in Birmingham, where we will launch officially next year's WRC, and then clearly the important action starts in Monte Carlo a week later than usual this year, but I'm already looking forward to it. 5 weeks away, I think, Rally Monte Carlo is. Have a great Christmas, everyone, and as I say, thank you very much for joining me and for contributing to my videos with all your wonderful comments on Facebook and on YouTube. We'll see you in 2018. Thanks very much.